Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bruce, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a houseplant tour plus I guess, moving update. So I have been in this apartment for about a month now, and so everything's pretty much settled. I have things where I pretty much want it. And so there might be a little bit moving around still within the next couple of weeks because I've still got some plans coming in. But for the most part, everything's pretty much where I want them. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with what's on the top shelf up here, and then I'll be moving on to my windowsills over here. As you guys can see, I actually get a lot of bright light in my apartment between this sliding door and those three windows off over there to the right. Really great light. I've had no problems with anything growing so far. I could actually see that some plants do need some water right now, so I'll do that after the video. But it's going to be a long video, so make sure that you guys are relaxed, enjoying yourself, and enjoy seeing all my plants. So really quick, this stepladder is not usually here. I just pulled it out so that way I could actually get to the top shelf. I tried to record this video before and well, every single time that I tried to focus on a plant on the top shelf, it would focus on the building behind me. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Oof. So you guys kind of get a little sneak peek of everything. Just me climbing. So, is this still gonna focus on the back? Oh well. So, here we have a unknown syngonium. This is sold to me as a syngonium no ID. I tried to take a cutting of this for a good friend of mine here in Denver, Colorado, and well, that didn't go too well. I cut it a little too early, and so this is its new growth right now. I ended up losing 3 leaves because I thought that I could root it, but yeah, that was a mess. This one is my Begonia moyesii. This one actually does need a terrarium, and this does need to be watered. Yeah. It's adapted to the dry environment here in Colorado, but again, I still don't want it to be struggling, so I need to build a terrarium soon, but with that also means that I'll probably be buying plants more suited to a terrarium setting. Can't exactly leave this one off by itself. Here is a Hoya australis subspecies australis. It finally just rooted. It was having a hard time rooting back in my last place for some reason, even though it was water rooted. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. I don't know if it's the water quality that affects cuttings and their ability to root or not, but this one finally rooted when I moved here. I think I repotted this just this past week. And then here we have my Hoya salata. This one is one of my favorites. It's not as dark as the camera makes it. It's actually a lot lighter. It's kind of like a limeish green color. Oh, there we go. And right now it's kind of got this long ass trail or vine kind of going up, new leaf incoming, and then it kind of like, oh, there we go. Crawled up and it's doing its weird thing up here. So, we'll see. But then again, it might actually be super bright right now since it's like literally the afternoon, like 1 when it's super bright out. So probably not the best choice for me to be filming right now, but if I don't, I will never film it. So right now, so this one is my Hoya affinis. This one does have a little growth point right there. I did have to chop off the tip. The tip got damaged in the move. I'm not sure why it's focusing. There we go. So I had to chop off the tip here. It did have a growth point, and now this this part is now yellowing and is gonna die off, and I'll be getting a new branching part right down there. I believe this one's supposed to have like red blooms or something like that, so I'm super excited for whenever it does bloom. Here we have my Hoya callistophylla long leaves. It does have 2 growth points there at the ends. I'm not sure if you guys could see that, but it did dry out. I kind of neglected this a little bit after I moved here. With it being on the top shelf, I really should have more of the succulenty type of Hoyas up here, but this is where I have it only because of this long ass vine with a little peduncle right here. It's actually about to bloom for me for the fourth time this year, or fifth. Can't remember, but this is such a prolific grower. I thought about just chopping off the peduncles just so that way I could get more foliage, but I'm not too sure yet. I'm gonna let it do its thing for the rest of the year, and I'll decide from there. So next one, surprise, surprise, is actually not a Hoya. This is an Ethereum vitarifolia. And so it's got some long ass leaves. I would say it's at least 2 foot for the leaves. Um, it's got some massive roots too. Like I actually need to repot this, but never gotten a chance to. Um, the potting mix that I keep on buying is not enough, and I just can't exactly justify using all that potting mix just for this pot. So I'll be making a potting mix video soon. I just need to order everything that I think I need, and I'll be able to make that video um, hopefully soon. Right over there is my Scindapsus pictus exotica. I'll go ahead and get a better view of that after I step down off of my ladder here soon. And then we'll move on to the next shelf. So I'll actually just kind of like stay on my ladder because it's a little bit hard for me to get to the shelf at my height and show you guys everything. So back here is my Hoya Megalaster. So I was able to win this Hoya in a purge. I'm a little upset about this one only because the root system was not as what I expected. It looks like it kind of went through a little bit of rot, and so a nice chunk of the roots are not viable anymore. So I'm a little bit scared of that one. It's partly because of a post that was on Facebook basically asking what are some of your hardest Hoyas to root, and that was one of them. So I really hope that whatever roots it does have is enough to keep it alive enough for it to grow out even more roots. This pot here is my Hoya Swiffer's Tail. It does have a new growth point down in the middle there. It's actually grown quite a bit. Super excited. Back here is my Hoya Matilde. Here is my Hoya Acuta. Right back there is my Hoya Australis Lisa. This one is a Anthurium crystallina. This one has been struggling. It's been on the struggle bus. It came to me as a 2-leaf rooted plant, and the first leaf fell off. The second leaf survived enough for this leaf to grow out, and then right in here, the new growth tip ended up drying out. And so I don't know. It's like I like this one, but this one in particular just has not been a fan of me. Yeah. Oh, before I forget, here is my Hoya pubic calyx. I originally bought this pot for about $60, or not $60, $30, and it kind of died back a lot more than I had expected. But again, I was new to Hoyas, and so I didn't know how to care for it. I think I kind of gave it a little too much water, and so quite a bit of rooted cuttings had died out from this pot. This vine in particular has been such a prolific grower. It gave out this beautiful vine before starting off with this other one, and so it just keeps on growing. This vine just wants to attach to everything. Like yesterday I saw it attached to the begonia moyesii. Today I find it attached to the pot for the Hoya australis, and I keep on finding it trying to trellis up this metal pole here, which I really don't want, but it just keeps on trying to attach itself to everything. Unfortunately, I don't want it to trellis up anything. I want it to kind of like hang down. It's only because it is in a hanging basket. If it was in its own potted plant without the hook or whatever, then I would definitely try to trellis it. But it's not, so it's gonna do what I want. Here is my Hoya vitillinoides. Such a huge ass leaf. This was in one of my unboxing videos. It's actually given me a lot of beautiful growth. So before I moved, it was maybe up to here, and then after settling in, it just shot up like crazy. I think this is actually within the past week because I just watered this not too long ago, and I don't remember seeing this reddish growth on this vitillinoides. Back there is my Hoya polyneura. I did have to chop that one back because it got damaged in the move, and it does have a new growth right here. So super excited for that. This is my Hoya obovata. Super easy Hoya. This is actually one of my favorite easy Hoyas. It actually just had two peduncles that was in bloom. Here's another peduncle over here. Super easy to get to bloom. And the splashiness, when it gets enough sun, it turns pink. So that's really cute. So this flower is a lone survivor of one of its old peduncles or spurs or whatever, umbels. And then it just kind of like vines all the way out, so I have to be careful when approaching the shelf because otherwise it'll stab me in the chest or whatever. Also, whenever I'm trying to look down onto some of my other shelves, I have to be careful not to hit my head on the vine or the flowers. This one is actually on its way out. I love this bloom so much, and it's actually a lot more vibrant on camera than I expected, so that's really nice. But as you can see, it's got some brownie on the tips of the corona, so that's how you know that it's on its way out. But these blooms are such long lasters, as in those blooms have been there for about a week each, at least minimum, and it's just taken off, or like it doesn't want to go. So I'm not gonna force it, you know? I mean, gotta let it do its thing. Here is my Hoya Natalie. This one was a cutting. It was in the same package as the Hoya Australis subspecies Australis, the Finnis, and a few others, but this one took pretty fast. There's a lot of confusion between this one and the Hoya Noel, and the difference is that the Hoya Natalie actually has a dark rimming on the edges, and because I didn't trim this down when I got it and I just rooted it, it decided to root at the very bottom, and so that's why it's like this. It's not getting as much sun as I want it to, as you could obviously see, but I'll just let it do its thing. I'm not going to like if it's going to be strong enough to survive this little spot, then it'll be fine. Let me step up. So back here is my Hoya Ringson. I kind of neglected on the watering, and so the two growth points that I did have did end up dying back. Back here is my Hoya Caledonica, or something like, or Hoya Neo something. I can't remember off the top of my head. But this one was a cutting that I got from a good friend of mine, Ilka. We traded cuttings. I actually need to check in with her and see how those are doing. But it rooted pretty fast. The rooting took pretty easily, and so what I do with my water cuttings is I let them get started in water, and as soon as I start seeing it starting to push out the root buds and everything like that, I put it into some soil. Note that water roots are not as strong as roots growing in some sort of substrate, whether that's in leca, whether that's in moss, whether just in anything but water. So right here is my Philodendron El Choco Red. Anyways, this is my Hoya Blashnerzii. This one was a little bit of a rehab. So when I first got it, it was great. It had a lot of new growth and everything like that. And then it was in my care, and it was in a different environment, and so all that new growth died off. The roots ended up getting root rot. I think it just was underwatering. I didn't know how to water with the substrate that came in. And so I actually had to literally rip off whatever substrate this was in. It was in something really sticky. All the roots peeled off, and the bottom half ended up rotting off. And so I had to cut that off, throw that in water. That didn't work. I moved that into my Chinese takeout prop box, and it started to root, but it started rooting more above the node where these leaves are, and so the entire portion is just rooted down below in the dirt, and it seems like that was the right choice because you can see this new growth here. Back there is my Hoya cast. It's still not doing anything. It's probably got some cracked leaves after the drop from that last Hoya video, and probably from that move. Yeah, this was actually one of the plants I took a cutting of for my friend Ilka. So just need to see how those are doing. Gonna step down. This is my Anthurium regale. It was doing fine until I moved it from moss to soil, and I think that was the wrong choice because, well, ooh, not what I want. Um, yeah, you could just see the little stump right there. I mean, it does have roots, and it's not dried out or anything like that. It's just struggling, so it's fine. So am I. And then here is my um, Raven ZZ. And so this is such an interesting one. I got this in the mail as just like this little leafer here. Um, and I actually left it in its packaging for about like, I think what, 4 months? Didn't water, didn't do anything. I just literally left it without anything, just left it out to dry. And finally I was all like, huh, oh yeah, I think I got that plant. And then I opened it and I was like, wow, I'm surprised it's not dead. It actually had two buds ready to push out, and these are actually the two buds that came out. The interesting thing about this boy is that the leaves, as you can see, is like pitch black, like dark as night, maybe even darker than night. But when it first comes in, it's like this dark green, and then over time it'll start like speckling from the outside inwards with like this darker like reddish color, and then it'll just fade to black completely. So super interesting plant, one of my favorites actually. Super low maintenance, as you could obviously tell when I didn't water or do anything with it after shipping for about 4 months. So I mean, it's doing pretty great. I'm still trying to figure out what the roots are doing. This plant is kept fairly dry. As you can see that there's a rhizome right there that's pretty voluminous. So I just don't want to water it too much and have that rot out on me. We'll ignore that. Down here is my begonia U309 question mark. Yep, there we go. This is one of my favorite begonias. It's a rhizomatic begonia, and you can actually see some of the hairs on the stem here. So that's what makes this super interesting. It's got this vibrant lime green color with this silvery speckling, and the inside is red, and the edges are red too. On the back side, the leaves are fairly fuzzy too. I'm not sure if you guys could see that. Let me get close. Oh, look at them hairs. Ah, so sexy. Back there is my begonia U489. Yep, begonia U489. These two begonias actually need to be watered. It seems like after they moved here, they just kind of like stressed out so much that they need so much water. This one actually had lost quite a bit of foliage or its volume, but it's starting to come back pretty strong. The new leaves come out like this metallic-y silvery color with some magenta coming through. But that's only because the underside is pretty dark. I'm not sure if that's because of the lack of the light or because of how intense the light is, but just the colors on this one just it gets me going. Anyways, here is my Hoya Carrara Sumatra. This one was on the struggle bus for a little while. Dropped almost all of its leaves on all of its peduncles, and I thought about just selling this as a rehab. But as you can see here, it's finally given me some new growth. So I'm not sure what I'm doing, but it seems like it's finally liking me just enough for it to give me new growth. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm not gonna try to sell it, you know? I mean, even though I got two, I'm gonna see what it does. This one is Mahoya Chelsea. This was in one of the other cuttings in one of the cutting boxes I mentioned earlier. This is Mahoya Jennifer. This has not done anything since I've gotten it. It does have roots, obviously, otherwise it would be dead by now, or it would lose a lot of foliage by now. I thought about making a cutting of this, but as you can see, the node is super busy, and so When it comes to Hoyas, I guess there's a certain limit to how many cuttings you could actually take from the plant before the node gets exhausted. And so I just don't want to take any cuttings just in case that node is pretty exhausted. So I'm just going to leave it, wait for it to give me new growth, and then I'll see what I want to do from there. This one is the other Hoya Caudatus. I think these are Sumatras anyways. These leaves didn't drop as much. I don't know why the other one is as finicky. So it makes me wonder if these are both Caudatus Sumatras or one of them is a Sumatra and one of them isn't. This vine here did dry out. The new leaves along the way, the baby leaves, did also dry out, and I think it's because I didn't water as frequently as I should have, and so the baby leaves, even though that they should have been growing out by now, they are, and so I'm kind of sad. Back here is the Hoya NS 05-240. This is one of my favorite Hoyas that I got so far. This was as a free cutting from Rick. The leaves are like suede and the roots are pretty nice. I know this nice because I had it in a prop box for a little while, and each of the nodes, there was 3 nodes, each of the nodes had roots, and so I cut them up and then I just potted it. And the roots took. I was just feeling it last night. I was just giving it a little bit of a tug, and yeah, it latched. So I mean, no complaints there. Here is my Hoya obscura. It did lose a little bit of the sun-stressed leaves here in the front. I'm not going to try to grab it because I know that I'm going to knock some plants over. It's got some new growth over here, and then it's got some new growth kind of coming out from everywhere. So I kind of want to take cuttings of this or just sell the rooted stems themselves. Overall, this is a large plant, and I'm a little bit afraid that it's going to overtake everything, but we'll see. Over here, I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to hear me, but this is a Hoya EPC 4 something. Try not to flip or anything. What do you say? Oh, this is the EPC 617, and so that one has super succulent leaves, woody stems, super easy to take care of. This was one of the free cuttings I got from Rick. I just threw it into some water, and I think within about a week, it just took. So super happy about that. Super easy, just waiting for it to grow enough roots for it to give me more foliage. Right there is my Hoya Motetsky. I think this is just a little bit more yellow or lime green than it should be. It should be a little bit more on the darker side. So I don't know if this is just stressed or this is sun-stressed or what's going on with that, but it does have a new leaf on right here. I'm not sure if that is done growing or whatnot, but it does have a new growth point down here somewhere. This is the Hoya Ischnopus. I'm still trying to figure out how to care for this one. I think this one does like to stay more on the wetter side, so I'm going to try to water that one a little bit more frequently, like my Hoya elliptica. Over here is my Hoya meredithii. So I bought it like this. I knew that this was damaged and it was cut off. And so there's a lot of confusion between this one and the Hoya vitellinoides. And so after this one gives new leaves, I'm going to do a comparison video of the two, so hopefully people could actually see the difference, and hopefully I could actually see the difference. The only difference I see is mainly in the leaf color and in the veining and sometimes the leaf shape overall. So turn that back. And then over here, I have my Anthurium forgetii. I'm actually super sad about this one. So I'm not sure if this is dark form or this is a light form, but this is definitely a silver form. And the reason why I say that is because it's got the thick, shiny ass veining there. I'm super sad about this one because during the move, this leaf was still trying to harden off and it ripped in the car. I'm so sad. I was waiting for an entire year for this, and I'm super sad. I mean, look at that. Like, it could have been a huge, beautiful leaf, but that car! Ah, so mad. And then right here is my philodendron caramel marble. So I'm actually super sad about this one too. This one was damaged in the move. This was in a box, and my dad decided to throw some stuff into the box, and it snapped the stem right here. And basically, that was all of the new growth that I had within a year. Like, all of that new growth, like, it would have been from this pot all the way up to this next shelf. But it snapped, but it didn't snap cleanly. It was like the inside itself was snapped, but not the outside. And so it was just barely hanging on by a thread. And so I just had to make the cut. There was no way that it was going to heal itself. Like, it wasn't a clean cut. Yeah, I'm super sad. This one also did not really do well with the transition. This is a Dioscorea discolor. What I learned about this one is it has to acclimate to a new environment, otherwise all of its leaves will drop. So if you guys are looking to buy one, don't really buy it for the foliage that it has now. Buy it so that way you could get it. So the cheaper, the better. And then we'll go down here. This one is my famous pot of variegated Hindu rope, or Hoya compacta variegata. I know that some people are getting a little or people are speaking out a little bit more about the naming, especially with it being a Hindu rope. So I'm going to try to call it by another name if it does have another name. This one back here is the Hoya Moana Loa. So this one actually is basically the reverse variegated Hoya. This strand here actually has some splashes on it, and it actually has some new growth. And so, look at that. That's pretty, right? And then you also have these other ones. It's giving me quite a bit of growth. It's been growing quite a lot this past couple of months, so I'm not going to be complaining about that, but I kind of wish that I potted this in a different pot. I wish that I potted this in a hanging basket, or at least in a 6-inch pot, but we'll see how this goes. I think this actually needs to be watered. Yeah, this needs to be watered. This one is my Hoya glabra. So I actually had this leaning on a pot. So this was actually sitting in this pot over here, only because I kind of ran out of room and I didn't know where to put it. And so this was leaning on the pot, and that was such a bad thing to do. It basically, well, it dried out this leaf, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's like something fungal or what, but yeah. After moving here, it's doing pretty well. I'm trying to see when or if every single day that it's going to give me some new growth. I kind of want to see what's going on in the roots itself, but I'll let it be. I'll let it do its thing. Here is another Hoya polynera. So this is the cutting that I had to take. Kind of sad though, because the two bottom leaves did rot away and die. And so both that node and everything between bottom or beneath that and the stem, between that node and this one, is rooted, so I just threw that into the soil here. Let's see. This is my Hoya finlaysonii. The leaves down here are not as prominent as this one up here in terms of veining. Back here is my Hoya villosa. I think they have it as short form. Let me see the tag. Oh, wrong way. Oh, nope. It says Hoya villosa big leaves. Ah! My hair's getting caught in that bloom. That bloom. So, and then back there is my Peperomia incana. I'm kind of like trying to let it die, but it wants to keep on growing, so I don't know. I'm gonna let it do its thing. This is the Hoya fungii. I'm still waiting for it to do something. It's like it's got these baby leaves, but the tips are dried out, so I don't think that's going to grow out for me. It might just completely dry out, but we'll see. And then the new growth, or like the stem here, has just been stunted. Like it just stopped. So I don't know what's going on. Right down there is the Hoya Rusty. Um, this one is the Hoya Kaoyai. This one is the Hoya rotunda flora. So this one came to me with mealybugs, and so I took some tweezers and I just plucked them off, squished them, and killed them. Wiped the tweezers clean and called it a day. And so ever since I've done that, it's put out some buds for it to kind of like start growing out. And this one here, where my thumb is the one that's finally starting to take off. But you could kind of see right there as well, and right there that a new bud has been trying to push out, but it never completely did. And so we'll see how this one goes. I mean, overall, it looks like he's doing pretty well. Um, this one is a Hoya Tequila Sunrise. So I actually need to water this. This one, I believe, actually came to me with root rot because I finally had to repot it because when I got it, it came to me with so little soil. It was a struggle. And after I moved here, so I had it at the last place for a little while, and the leaves look so dehydrated, kind of like how it does now. As in the veining, it's just kind of like sucked in. You could kind of see the veining a little bit more. That's how I know that it's dehydrated. But after I moved here, I decided that I needed to repot it because I needed to see what was going on. And when I was looking at it, I noticed that a lot of the roots basically were string. It was rotted, and I noticed that there was just one thick ass root left, and so I just decided to repot it. And overall, it seems like it's doing a lot better, but it did lose 4 leaves, or like basically 2 nodes of leaves. So we'll see how that one goes. This is basically a rehab one. Back here is my Hoya Pachiclata New Moon, I believe. This is also the Alba Marginata. Here is my Hoya Zero Back Cream. It's kind of trying to give me a new growth point, but like not. It kind of dried out, so we'll see. Back here is the Hoya AH074. So it's got the silver splashing. I think this one needs to be watered too. Oh, I forgot to show you guys my Bellas up here. So this is the Bella Lewis Boys. And so it's been giving me a lot of new growth, which is super exciting. So there's a new growth point here, and then there's a new growth point back there. And then the Hoya Alba Marginata is here. It started throwing out new roots, but I had to basically throw this one into a pot because when it was in the prop box, I noticed that for whatever reason, the new roots keep on disappearing. And so I was all like, no, I'm not playing that game anymore. So the minute I saw that I had a new root, I just threw it into a pot. So back down to the shelf. This is a dying Maniparensis. This is the Hoya serpens. This is the Hoya Patricia, which is a hybrid between the Elliptica and something else. I actually want to get in close on the Elliptica. The Elliptica is doing so well after I transferred it over to soil. So there's a growth point down there, and then there's this growth point right up here. So this one has been pushing out a new leaf and new growth. I don't know why it's focusing on the plant in the back, but I can't really focus or use my hand, which I'm super sad about. But just know that there's a growth point. This is a Hoya erythrostema. I actually need to move this away from the blinds because it's kind of like snapped. What was right here is a Hoya that just fell and just trashed my floor. This one came to me. This one came to me as a Hoya something. It starts with a P, but when I looked it up, it didn't really show me anything. It basically said no results found, so I'm just gonna leave that on the floor. Yeah. So if anybody has any ideas on what that one is, please let me know in the comments, or tell me on my Instagram at scrumptious_greens, because I'm a snack who collects plants. Hey. This one was sold to me as a Hoya, formerly known, or not Hoya. This was sold to me as a Monstera, formerly known Epiprimnoides. I'm still trying to figure out that is still the case. This looks like a Hoya Adansonii to me. Um, it came to me with some roots, but it's like the roots weren't substantial enough for it to grow out new growth. And so it's finally given me, or it finally popped out this new stem within this past summer, or within the last couple of months. I'm just waiting for it to give me new leaves and see what's going on. And then, let's see. I guess I'll show you guys this plant right here since it's right in front of me and I'm already going to my bottom shelves. So beware, this bottom shelf is basically like a rehab shelf-ish plus some succulent type of Hoyas. So this is my Dracaena goldiana. This is actually one of my favorite Dracaenas or Dracaenas. This is the newest leaf. And so it's starting to fade into this lighter color here. So this green will be more like this silver once it comes out. So it came to me as a kind of rehab, I guess. One of the ways how I knew that was this stem was wrinkly. And so what I did was I left it in my kitchen sink and I left the water on kind of like drip mode for about 2 to 3 hours every 2 to 3 days. And it finally bounced back and it finally upped itself right because before it was leaning over. And after I did that for about a month or so, it pushed out this new leaf and it seems like it's starting to really push out this next leaf. So I'm super excited. This is one of my favorites. I would never be able to sell this one. It has my heart. And then we'll go ahead and kind of like move over so that way I can kind of sit on the floor. So this is my Hoya Majestic, or oh my gosh, I'm so used to saying Hoyas because my entire collection is basically Hoyas. This is my Philodendron Majestic. So this is a cross between a Verrucosum and a Soderoy. As you can see, it's got the silver blotches, but it's not as dramatic as the Soderoy. And the leaf shape kind of resembles more of a Verrucosum. The nice thing about hybrids that I found is that you get a mix of both plants, or both parent plants. So this one has more of a heart-shaped leaf like a Soderoy, and it has the silver splotches of a Soderoy as well, but it has the coloration of a Verrucosum. And so this is another one. So I'm kind of sad, so I didn't realize when I lit my candle that it was right underneath this leaf, and so that's what this is. And then this was actually damaged in the trip. This was in the same pot that the caramel marble was in, and so same story, it snapped because my dad threw something into the pot. But it does have 2 new growth points, so I'm super excited. Maybe I'll have like this super majestic multi-branch majestic. Super excited. So right here in this big boy is my Philodendron glorious. So I did not realize that it was basically suffering from root rot. And so all of its big leaves did fall off and I'm super sad. And so when I was repotting, because I was like, oh, you know, like maybe it has so much roots. When I repotted, it turns out that a lot of the roots were gone. And so I just threw it into this pot and I'm super, super careful with watering. As you can see, it has a lot of bark and perlite, just so that way it does stay aerated and not as wet. But I just want this to grow out, and overall it seems like it's doing a lot better. After taking some cuttings, we got some new growth. Yay! Back here is the dying non-gratans philodendron. It did not like the move at all. And I'm kind of sad because this was the newest leaf. I'm kind of surprised that this one died off and not what's left, because that's one of the older leaves. So this leaf died off, this leaf died off. There's no growth point. Oh wait, just kidding. There's a growth point right in here. Ah, you sneaky bastard. So I could go ahead and cut these off. I actually need to water this one too. I don't know how to water this one because Sometimes it stays so dry, and then other times it stays so wet, and I just cannot keep up. So this is what it looks like. I had to be really careful whenever I'm maneuvering around this plant because its petioles are basically like sandpaper, but some of the prettiest petioles I've ever seen. So it has that red at the top near the base of the leaf, and it just kind of fades off to like this green. So it's kind of like an ombre. Let me just bounce closer to this shelf. So this is one of the cuttings of Philodendron Pink Princess. You can actually see that little pink tip there, that's a new growth point. I don't know what's up with philodendrons, but they like to push out a new growth point before any roots. I'm frustrated. Back here is a Hoya Surigauensis I got from a good friend of mine. She's such a lovely person. Here is some cuttings of some varicosums I just took last night. I actually made some spaghetti last night, and so I saved the spaghetti sauce jar and I threw these cuttings into it. So these are cuttings of the Philodendron varicosum tambeo or tambillo. I love the dark leaves. Oh, so sexy. And then in here is some cuttings of Hoya Parak, I think teddy bear, and this is a Hoya cilia. This is a type of Areostema, and so the leaves are super fuzzy. It's super soft, and these will require a lot more sun, a lot more heat in order for it to bloom. And so, super excited about this one. We got some roots coming in. Ish. There we go! Super exciting! And then in here is another prop. In here is some Hoya Wallaniana or something like that, variegated. This has been a pain in the ass to try to root. So, it's not exactly rotting. I had it in the Chinese prop box or Chinese takeout prop box, and it just wasn't doing too well. The top part started getting super soft and soggy, and so I just had to basically throw it in water, and so I'm just hoping for it to root somewhere, but it's not really doing anything. And so this is the top cutting, so there's other cutting in here, this thick one. This one is the top cutting of the Philodendron Majestic. It's finally starting to root. It started to rot on me down here, so I had to cut it off a little closer to the node than I would have liked, but you guys could see that little baby root coming in, so super excited. I'm actually thinking about either potting that one up with my other Majestic or just selling it. I'm still not too sure what I want to do yet. I'm also thinking about just waiting until this one has enough leaves, or not enough leaves, enough roots, and then pot it up, and then wait until this one pops out with its new leaf, and then just try to sell it. I don't know if I want to sell it locally or if I want to do it on do shipped just yet. USPS is having some troubles right now, and UPS and FedEx is a little bit too expensive. Back here is a Hoya cinnamommifolia. I don't know if this is the purple variety or this is the other variety, but this one was given to me as some cuttings from Rick. At first it wasn't doing too well, and then all of a sudden I threw it into some water and the roots started growing, and I had actually cut this one into 3 because the entire vine was a little too long for me. And so I thought, you know what, this would be a great time to make some cuttings and make some multiple plants in one pot. So there's 1, 2, and there's a 3rd leaf in the back that's pretty large. But what's super exciting is even within a couple of weeks, it's starting to give me new growth. Here, I don't know what the hell this Hoya is doing. This is a Hoya Trebiana. It's not doing anything. Period. This is one of the other cuttings from my caramel marble, and so this one has actually done super well in terms of rooting. So I'll be trading this one for something with a friend of mine. I'll be trading this with Julie at the Jungle Bumps on Instagram. Oh, look at that variegation, and look at the size of this leaf. Oh. this leaf, I have a feeling it's going to end up dying off. We'll see. But inside of this pot, before I potted it up, you can actually see the root there. Ah, that's so nice. Um, this one has 3 growth points in here. So this one is going to do really well. I know that it's going to do well. So just have to get that ready for shipping. I'm not going to be shipping anything this week or trading anything this week or anything like that with her as much as I want to, because we are getting a massive heat wave, I guess, across the states, because Colorado has the fire, plus also with the heat and everything like that. It's not a good time. So these are where all the other cuttings are. And so depending on how these ones sell locally in an auction, I'll just keep them local. But if they don't do well locally, I'll have to move it into an online or to another auction group, because I know that these ones sell well. And so it'll help me fund a little bit more with the plants I want, everything like that. As much as I want to share my plants, I also want to be able to make a little bit of money from these. And so we'll see how it goes. I just don't want to be lowballed, you know? So, let me find the handle, because it's a little bit easier to show things than what's going on in here. So, look at that. Like, it's just doing so well. You guys could actually see the variegation in the stems itself and everything like that. And so this is water propping. This one, right here where my pinky is, well, you guys can't tell that that's my pinky, but where my finger is waving with that nail, is giving me a new root. So this one should be ready for auction coming up soon. So super, super excited. So that one will be the first one that I start off with. Over here is the actual full mother plant of the Varicosa. This is Mahoya latifolia, and that is Mahoya mendoriensis, subspecies mendoriensis. And then this pot is my Philodendron gloriosum. This one has been a little bit of a struggle. This one does not like its roots touched at all, period. So I decided to basically cut this in half. And so there's one plant on this side and one plant on this side. It's funny, this leaf kind of came up from this leaf, and then it finally gave out a new red rocket. So I don't know what this is doing. I'm just kind of like letting it do its thing. I'm not going to try to touch it anymore. I'm not going to touch it any more than I have to anyways. And I'm just going to let this acclimate or settle in. So that's everything on this shelf and everything that's in front of it. Sorry for that move. But yeah. So there's everything, dying, living, and everything in between. Oh, let me show you guys this rock. So this rock just means so much to me. I got this from my English teacher when I did IB. And when I was having a hard time in college, I've just happened to find this rock. And it kind of lifted me up. So this is one of my treasures, or hidden treasures, in my collection. Even though there's not Hoya or a plant or anything like that, it just kind of enhances the beauty of my little collection. So over here is the Epipremnum Zebu Blue. It needs to be watered. Ah, poor baby. This is my Mandrula pothos. I have another one in my bedroom. This one is my Monstera species Peru. So dark, so textured, so sexy and mysterious. And then down here is my variegated Epipremnum pennatum. I actually had this one outside for a little bit because when I moved, my mom and little brother thought that would be a good idea to put my plants outside, and I forgot about this. So, yeah. It's basically a rehab, but not really, because it's got some new growth. And then I got this stupid-ass Philodendron passazenum stump. Bitch-ass hoe. Ugh. And then over here, oh, too much light, too much light. Oh, gosh. Is this? There we go. For some reason, the exposure was locked. So here we have the Hoya sigillatus, Hoya morellii. This one is doing so well. I actually need to water this one too. Look at the waxiness and look at how big it is and the veining. Ah, so nice. There's two plants in here. Okay, put this back. This is the Hoya parvifolia. This is the Hoya horschkiliana variegata. This one also needs to be watered. I need to be careful, otherwise the new growth points will dry out again. But yeah, this is what the new growth looks like whenever sun stressed. And there's some people in the pool, but sadly no men. Oh, this is the Hoya breviolata, or Hoya angleriana. This one is giving me some new growth up here. This is the Hoya sunrise. And so this one started getting sun stress, so I'm super, super excited about that. I wasn't intending on it to get sun stress. I just kind of like put it into the windowsill because I didn't know how much light I was getting. And then next thing I knew is that it's getting sun stressed. This one is the Hoya obovata. Oh my gosh, not obovata. The Hoya australis albo marginata. Ah, so nice, so nice. Giving me some new growth there. Ooh, in there. We'll see. This is the Hoya incrusata eclipse. This is the Hoya NS 05-055. I'm waiting for this one to kind of get a little bit sun stressed. Starting to get there at the tips, but this one actually has not really been doing anything for me. I'm just trying to figure out how to water this one still. This one is my Hoya horschkiliana, non-variegated form. I'm gonna need to move this one off the shelf. Oh, this one also needs to be watered, but look at the sun stress. I mean, I like that fact that it doesn't have fully sun-stressed leaves on this half, but it has sun-stressed leaves on this half. Oh, look at that. Oh, I especially love this part only because it's so full and it kind of reminds me of a succulent. And it does have a new bloom coming out right here if it focuses. There we go. Looks like tiny nipples. So I'll go ahead and water this one whenever I'm done. This one is a Hoya ficii. And so I did take a cutting of this one, and it is giving me a new growth point right down here. It kind of has new growth buds kind of like forming all along this plant. And so it really started taking off after I repotted it. When it was still in the pot by Logies, it started dying off. And so I actually just needed to repot it, and ever since then it's been doing pretty well. This one is the Hoya Kenya Q Mariana. And so originally its growth right there, the new leaves died. And this is a new leaf. Oh wait, what is that? What is that? Is that what I think it is? Focus. Is that what I think? Hold on, let me put this plant down. Let me put this plant down. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Camera focus. Focus. There we go. Is it there? Oh no! Anyways, I'll move on. I think that's a peduncle. I think that is a peduncle. Guys, I'm so excited. I think this entire video is just basically going to be this peduncle. Yeah, look at that. This is the Hoya chingengensis. After I moved, it seems like it stopped with this new growth. It was kind of snapped at the base of this stem here, and so I kind of like propped this up against the wall so that way it could kind of like heal itself. But right now, as you guys can see, it's actually giving me some yellow leaves and falling off. So I don't know if it's too wet or if it's not wet enough. I don't know. I'm kind of sad that this isn't doing too well. Yeah. Oh, right here is my Hoya Species Affinity Burtonnae. This is the Hoya that you usually get at a big box store that's sold as Hoya bilobata. So, lots of new growth. It's doing pretty well. I'm just going to leave it here until I figure out what I want to do. So I'm actually thinking about turning this little space here into a greenhouse area. And I was thinking about building my own greenhouse using PVC piping and some other stuff. So we'll see. I need to figure out how to do that first. So if you guys have any ideas, y'all should let me know. So this is the Hoya Crimson Princess. It kind of stopped with this new growth after put it down here, so I don't know if it's getting enough light. This one is the Hoya Croniana Super Eskimo, Super Silver. It's not really doing anything, just waiting. This is the Hoya Panchoy. This is the Hoya Noel. It's kind of got that little sunstress thing going on too. Hey! I'm just waiting for it to give me new growth. It's got a lot of new roots, so I don't know why it's not giving me any new stems. I did check and it does have the node with it, so I just don't know what it's doing. This is a Crassula something. I don't know how to pronounce the species name because part of it is kind of faded away, so I need to look that up again. But this one is sunstressed. It's supposed to be a little bit more on the green side. But I don't know. This is kind of like one of my favorites, even though that I don't really know what to do with it. I just kind of like water it once in a while and hope for the best. This one is my Hoya Croniana Black Leaves. I'm just waiting for it to turn a little bit more dark. I'm kind of giving it a little bit more sunlight, hoping that it'll turn dark. In here is a prop box. It's my Chinese takeout prop box. This one has some Philodendron Pink Princess cuttings in it, some Glorious cuttings, my Hoya, my Trantha, and some other stuff. I think, I can't remember. I'll need to pop that open later today. And then this is my Hoya Lauterbachii. Lauterbachii. I think that's how you pronounce it. Super fuzzy leaves, one of my favorites. I'm hoping that it'll give me some beautiful blooms, maybe. But yeah, new growth. Yay! So that is everything. These are my windowsills. And then this is my shelving unit. And then this is my other shelf. Yeah, that is everything. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, watching my video. I know that this video was long, but I hope that was entertaining just enough for you guys to stick this through. But yeah, so that is everything. Because of how my aroids look, it's been kind of pushing me out from the aroid area, only because if they're not going to be doing well in my hair, then there's no point in wasting my money trying to care for something that hates me. So yeah, that's the end officially. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.